Hello, UK Crime Book Club. I'm laughing before we've even gone live, before we've even started. I am absolutely thrilled to have Abigail Burdess with me. Oh my word, this book is dark. Tell us a little bit about Mother's Day,
Yeah,
which is here.
It is apparently super. Oh, it's there. Look, here. It is like super, super, super twisted.
Oh, it
I
is.
think I've started now just saying that right at the beginning, just as a warning.
Necessary.
Yeah. So it is like it's very twisty and twisted. So it's about Anna, who she was left on a traffic island when she was a baby, and she gets mugged. So someone tries to steal her identity, and she discovers this clue to her identity in the bag she was left in when she was a baby. And she goes and finds her birth mother, and the day she meets her birth mother, she also discovers she's pregnant herself. So that's the
I mean, it's quite yeah.
Go on,
I'm just
say
tagging
what you're
some
going to say.
members who are gonna tagging some members to come and watch us. And I'm laughing so much I can't remember everybody that I need to tag. So I'm sorry that I'm going to miss people.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's my editor described it as unimaginably dark. So if that helps.
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
Yeah, it's pretty twisted. So yeah, so it's kind of like it's about when the mom is this kind of huge eccentric character, and so she's like a big personality. Let's put it that way. How would you put it, Sam?
Ooh, I'm glad she's not my mother.
Yeah, so everybody's going to be glad. Everyone will be grateful for their mothers after they've read this. That's what I'm hoping. So it's like and whatever sort of mum you are, you're never going to be as bad as us. So you're like, yeah. So she kind of welcomes Anna into this world that she's always longed for, like a big family and massive house. She's really rich. And she's like, oh no, come and live with me, come on. And so it's all like, is it too good to be true? And it is too good to be true. So it's a thriller.
It is really interesting that we're seeing all of the things that Anna isn't seeing. So we're seeing everything that is it Hebe? Is that how we're pronouncing her sister's
Hebe
name?
is how I say it.
Oh, so it really is Hebe, like Hebe Jeebe.
Heebie-jeebie, yeah.
I did wonder, and then I was just like not sure whether that's just how
I
was
always just remember it because I'm like, it's the Hebe story. So I was like, oh, did I do that on purpose? Yeah.
So we're seeing all of the kind of the other side of it that Anna's not seeing,
Yeah.
and we know it's almost like watching, what do they say? Watching a train wreck.
Yeah, you're waiting for it.
What she's walking into.
Yeah.
My head's actually in my hands. I've just realised what I'm doing.
You're like,
you can see what she's walking into. And oh my god, who has said autobiographical? Guy Hale. Of course it's Guy Hale. So Guy also has a character called Ma in his books.
Oh, okay.
You should compare notes. They're both interesting women.
I didn't know that. I'll look it up. I actually call my mum Ma.
So has your mum read this book?
This is a bit, but I just thought it's such a great word. So
it really works. Has your mum read it?
Yeah, she has. Yeah. She said, "How would you like to receive my notes?" And then she
and you said, "No, thank you."
I was like, "I don't really," but she sent me lots of little corrections of the grammar and stuff. And one of them
you
was
don't
a correction
see it in your own work.
It's just, but one of them was correction of the grammar that, like, in the book, Marlena corrects Anna's grammar. One of them was she actually did. I was like, but I tried to make it.
What did you write? You wrote.
I try to make it like rooted in reality.
Yeah.
So like the kind of things that do happen between mothers and daughters, but obviously massively exaggerated.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like so that the seed of everything is like from, you know, friends, relationships, or my relationship or whatever, but obviously it's then taken to the end point of, if, you know, if that were the most extreme version of that exists, what would it be? Well, I was just kind of quite interested in the way that like a mother relationship is the kind of, it's almost like, it's so, you have so much power as a mum. Like mothers have so much power, like you care so much what your mum thinks of you. And so it's almost like it's so easy to abuse that power. It's like, so you just have to nudge it very slightly and it's like becomes coercive control or something. So yeah, so I was kind of interested in that stuff.
When you sat down to write this, did you know what was going to come out of your head?
I did have a good idea of what the plot was going to be, because I wrote it. I don't know how to reply on the chat, so I'm just going to say hi, everybody.
Yeah, hello, everybody. Normally, I'm so engrossed in talking to you. Normally, I would say hello to the people, and so hi, Laura. Hi, Patsy. Hi, Guy.
Hi.
And we'll, don't worry, I'll come to the questions as we go along. But
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what were we saying? Sorry. Oh yeah, when I sat down to write it, I did know what was going to happen, because I actually had the idea about 10 years ago, and I wrote it as a movie. Like so when you write a movie, you write like a treatment for it, which is like the story before you write the script. And so I wrote the story down and then I put it away, because I was like, I'm never going to sell that because it's not comedy. Normally I write comedy, and so no one's going to buy a thriller off me. And also just after that, Alice Lowe's Prevenge. Do you remember that? Did you ever see that? So that's like a thriller. It's like a sort of horror slasher movie set over the course of pregnancy. Yeah. So it's like a British indie film set over the course of a pregnancy. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to sell a British indie film set over the course of a pregnancy, because they've just made one. So, but then about just in the pandemic, I was chatting to my friend Susie Steiner, so she wrote Missing Presumed. They're really great books, really
they are. And do you know what, I should have got them out. They're on the shelf somewhere behind me.
Aww.
And I should have got them out and put them up, and I haven't. So one's called Home, I've got Missing Presumed, and the other one is
Remain Silent.
I'm sure there's another.
I'm so glad I remember that name.
I should have got them out. The fantastic books.
Yeah, really good, really well put together. So she was a journalist person, so that's very journalistic, like the way she's put it all together. But I was talking to her. She was a really good friend of mine. She sadly died last year, but I'm gonna cry. Sorry.
We have had tears, me and you, this week when we've been chatting.
We have had a few. So and whenever I talk about Susie, I well up. So apologies to anybody. But she said to me, she said you should write about your relationship with your mother. And I said, that'd be a horror story. She was like, good, write that. But obviously it's not a horror story, it's a thriller, and it's not about my mom. It's just about like all mother-daughter relationships.
I've just dropped Susie's website link. Yeah, okay. I've dropped Susie's website link in, and we'll drop yours in a minute as well. Yeah, please do go and look at Susie Steiner's books, because they are terrific.
They are great, because there's so much humor and heart in them. She's such a clever, kind of big-hearted person, and they're really good. They're really good.
And funnily enough, it was Mark Billingham, whose new book is here, who recommended Susie Steiner's books to me. Not to me personally. I was at a book signing years ago, the first one I ever went to, where since being a grown-up, I won't say my first adult book signing, I've realised I have to reword that. My first book signing as a grown-up was Mark Billingham. And somebody in the crowd asked him, and it was a packed room, what he recommended that he'd been reading, and the first one out of his mouth was Susie Steiner.
Oh, so yeah, he's a comedy guy, isn't he? He probably really appreciates it. There's a lot of humor in them. Like there's lots of, her Man on Bradshaw, her detective, is like very relatable.
Yeah,
kind of she's your classic hot mess detective, but very real. Like
yeah, not in a cliche way at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Christy Newport's saying hello as well. Hello, Christy. And Kaz saying hello. So Kaz is now 1/3 of the current author chat team. So
Oh, great.
Kaz is the boss. Show us as I am, but really it's her group. She's the boss.
Okay.
And Kaz, you were gonna love this book, but oh my. We are going to have some discussions. There are so many things that, when we were talking last week before the promo, we said there's so many things that I'm not going to be able to talk about. And there's so many things that I'm not. Right
Yeah,
now,
it's quite hard to talk about.
I can't say anything.
I know, it's quite hard without the spoilers, isn't it? Like, I was just seeing that thing about, like, what's the dad featuring in the story? And I'm like, well, it's quite complicated. So it's really hard to talk about without giving stuff away. But so she's got this relationship with she's like not living her best life. Anna, she's not got a good. She's very much stuck in a rut.
She has flashes of it though. The thing that I love, everything's all gone to crap around her.
Yeah,
there's so many problems. There's so much going on. But she's still this good person in the middle of it all, trying to do nice things. Like, she can't help herself. You know, she's always, even if somebody's being horrible to her, and you'll know exactly what I mean, right near the beginning, somebody's awful, and then she does something really nice for them.
Yeah.
So there's so many, and I don't want to say what that is.
Yeah, you've got to do a Save the Cat, haven't you? You've got to do a moment where you're like, oh, you see why. I think personally, I think she's a really good person.
Yeah.
My editor was a bit like, oh, maybe we could do more hinting that she's maybe evil, and I was like, she's not evil.
She's not evil. No.
Yeah, you could go. You worry a bit that she might get ill. I think, like, because everybody around her is there's a lot of stuff about mental illness in there. So, so you sort of worry, might she be getting ill? But again, I didn't want it to be like they were just crazy ladies. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I didn't want it to be like, oh, women are so mad. Like, I wanted it to be like that they had motivations for being the way that they were, and that you could sort of trace it back and understand the kind of trauma and all of that they've been through. And that it wasn't just like functional. It's not just like part of the plot that somebody's, oh no, is she seeing things, or is it real? All of that stuff, which is obviously, of course, that's useful for when you're plotting a thriller. Yeah. But it's also that I just wanted it to be like a kind of realistic representation of what it's like experiencing psychosis and having mental health problems and stuff, like in quite a respectful way about. Yeah, that's my plan anyway.
Yeah, you have not sensationalized it.
Good. Yes. I didn't want it to be like glamorous madness. It's like, being ill's really hard.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to put that across. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have. Good. And you've done it beautifully.
Thank you very much.
And I know how nervous you've been about the whole, you're trying something new. You've been script writing for a long time, and then you're trying something really different.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's quite nerve-wracking because it's also just a lot of work, isn't it? So, like with telly, you like, what you do is you write an idea, and then people say if they like the idea. So you get feedback all the way along.
Okay.
Process. So people are like, oh, I like that, but can you change it like this? And blah, blah, blah. So that's in some ways that's really good because you get some input, and in other ways it's like you get less control. But when you're writing a book, you sort of got to go dig in. I know this is going to be a great story, and I'm going to write the whole thing before I send it out. And do you know what I mean? Oh, I'm looking at the questions now.
Kaz has said, got to ask, with a title like Mother's Day, what's the worst gift you've ever been given, or you've ever given or been given on a gifting occasion? This is a mean question.
That is, I can tell you that my mum gives hilarious gifts for my kids, because she's very like, I think this is not slagging off my mum, but she's like from that generation where it's like health and safety gone mad. You Gen Xers with your protecting your kids and wrapping them up in cotton wool. So she's very like, once she gave my kids,
what's she done?
She would just give them really dangerous stuff. Like she took them out once in the pram. She took my baby out the first time, and I came out. Oh, what's that in the pram? And I picked it up, and it was like nail clippers, like like you could cut your finger off. She's like, oh, it's shiny. She likes it. It's shiny. I'm like, of course she's gonna like it. Don't give nail clippers to a baby. Yeah, she's always a bit like that. She once gave them a bag of corks.
Corks?
Yeah, she's turned up with a plastic bag full of burnt corks, and she's like, this is for them to express themselves doing art in the kitchen. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I want them, go give this to your kids, and then they'll just rub it all over the walls and stuff in the kitchen. And I was like, okay. I'm not going to do that.
Corks from, has she just been saving wine corks?
Yeah, she'd been saving them and then burnt the ends.
And then burnt the ends?
Yeah.
I've never heard of. So I have a friend who saves the corks and then makes cork boards with them. Great idea.
Oh,
I've never heard of anyone
that's very
burning the ends.
sensible. It's very sensible. I see someone says, I once bought my mum an ironing board. I think that's quite a nice present.
I thought that'd be Guy, yeah. I don't know. I think I'm quite a good gift giver. I'm just forgetful, and sometimes I think I've organised birthday things and I've not done it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that's the thing though, isn't it? With like, do you still have a mum around? Sorry.
Yeah.
So is she like stuff and nonsense about?
She likes chrysanthemums and that's it.
Oh, okay.
So my parents do not, and she might watch this at some point. She does sometimes watch them. She's not in the group. I think she couldn't read your book. It'd kill her.
Okay, good. It's good that she knows that.
So I'm not gonna. Mum, if you watch this, don't read this book. I'm not lending it you. I've got others. You'll be fine.
I was signing them last night at a launch in my local bookshop thing, and people were coming up and they were buying like 4. I was like, I'm getting it from my mate. And I was like, are you good friends with this mate? I'm like, so long as you really know them, that they're not going to be freaked out, give it. That's great, but it's got to be someone. It's like, oh, I might give it to my sister-in-law. I'm like, no. Don't give it.
No, my parents don't like presents.
Oh.
So for example, for Christmas, I got my dad a puzzle book, less than £2 from the corner shop. I'm not kidding. And he was made up because that'll keep him busy for a few weeks.
That's nice. Best gift.
But he doesn't want anything, and he gets like he's got so many socks because it got to the point of practical handkerchiefs and socks because he just didn't want anything. He genuinely didn't. And now I've got to the age where I'm like, I've got everything I need. You don't really need to buy me anything.
I know, you don't want stuff as well because then you've got loads of clutter in your house, haven't you? The best gift my dad ever gave me was he gave me some miniature screwdrivers. Miniature screwdriver with different heads, like little star-shaped bit and stuff. And I was like, that is a good present.
One of the best sets of screwdrivers I ever had was, we've still got them. They're out of a Christmas cracker.
Oh, they can be really good quality. Yeah. I used to keep mine to do my glasses. The little tiny screws in my glasses.
Glasses, little things on battery covers, on the kids' toys. There's all sorts. Let's have a look what else we've got here. So, how do you feel about the extra aspects, put my teeth back in, to actually writing the book, such as interviews, festivals, etc.? Did you foresee that side of things, and do you think there's enough room for everyone to have sufficient exposure to aid success? Thanks. And that is Krista. Thanks, Krista.
Thank you. I think that's a really good question. I don't really know the answer yet because it's so new, and I only, it only came out last week. But it does seem quite a lot. There's quite a lot. Yeah. So, I don't know about like the room for everybody. Like, it's quite hard to sort of tell what you're meant to be doing. And I didn't foresee it at all, to be honest. I didn't really think that there would be.
Christie's debut was one of my top 10 books last year. Her debut, Raven's Mark, is fantastic. So she's been doing all of these different interviews and all of these different things.
Yeah.
Well, you can ask me afterwards, and I'll remind you.
That'd be great to find out what's going on. I mean, anyone who's got any top tips for how to manage it, I'd be very very grateful for, because I'm just a bit like, honestly, I'm a bit overwhelmed at the moment, because it's partly, I think, because there's a bit of a disconnect between what I'm used to, because I normally write comedy. And so,
I mean, this is funny.
Yeah, it is. There are definitely dark jokes in it. But I think I'm just used to sort of selling stuff and going, oh, I'm on a podcast, I better make a joke. Oh, I'm going to make another joke. And then I don't get across what the book's really like. And then people are like, ah! So I think it's great that you've been like, it's twisted, it's messed up. Because, yeah, I think it's important to say that, so that.
Oh, it definitely is. Because if you are into cozy crime and you just really, really like Abigail and think, right, I need to read Abigail's book, just brace yourself.
Yeah, I saw something with all of the warnings that it had on Goodreads, or one of those things, and there was just
really?
It just has every single warning. Like every single warning is like, oh, it's got, car crashes, or it's got swear words, or it's got, all of the above. And I'm a bit like,
I love Layla.
Oh, do you? Yeah, she's got a foul mouth. Yeah, so there's a best mate who's very, very, very kind of aggressive. That's kind of her. It's actually based on sort of an amalgam of two people, Layla, who I know and who are really close to me. But you need that, don't you? You need a best mate who's like super honest and just would never, ever lie to you.
Yeah.
And so she's like, that's what I wanted it, So in the end, you haven't quite got to the very end, but at the very end, there's a reason behind Layla's.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'll let you know once I get to the very, very end of it. Not far.
Not far off. Just a few pages left.
Also did this, so this must be the ironing board, but in my defence, my dad had given me the money to get it for her as a gift from him, says Laura.
Okay. I actually think it's a very practical present.
Yeah. Some people really, really hate getting kind of things like that. I just think if I need something, just buy it and get it out of the way as part of the next event that's coming up.
Yeah. Whereas I'm because I worry about, miss environmental, so I worry all the time about buying anything. So I won't buy myself like socks and pants and things like that, because I'm like, carbon, I don't need to burn the carbon. And so I really like it when people give me practical presents, because I'm like, oh my God, I've needed that for a year. I haven't had any socks for a year or whatever. Because I get too wound up about buying things. Yeah, I'm rubbish at it. But
somebody said, I have no such excuse. The board broke and I naturally assumed she'd love it. Is that Guy? That's Guy. Okay. Laura said, I also made my mum think my dad had bought her a bouquet of flowers as I had them delivered to his shop as it was easier.
I think that's
oh,
nice.
You're so good.
That's nice. You bring romance back into their lives.
Somebody said, my birthday tomorrow. Son got me an out last year. A Mother's Day present from school trip, because all class were getting things. Nout for Christmas, so expecting Nout tomorrow. I gift myself stuff, books in capitals these days, so I'm never disappointed. That's Lucy. Hi, Lucy.
You can buy yourself Mother's Day for Mother's Day. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's difficult.
And then you can read excerpts out to your kids of how you're going to treat them if they keep being rude.
I do think that, I think Mother's Day presents are quite weird, aren't they?
We've agreed that this year we're just going to have like a little Mother's Day breakfast. I don't need any gifts. I've got all the books that I want. I've got loads of notebooks. I've got them coming out my ears. I've got planners that'll take me up to the next 2 years. I've got candles, but I've got sinus problems, so I can't burn them. So there's no point buying me any more. Do you know? It's just you just don't need anything. But also, my office is cluttered. I don't need to put anything else in it. Stuff. So we're having a breakfast.
Quite a lot of Mother's Day gifts end up being that sort of it's like, oh, I'll give you breakfast in bed, or a bath, or a lie-in. They just end up being stuff where you're like, those are kind of basic human needs, really.
We'll leave you alone for an hour while you eat some cold toast.
Yeah, exactly. Just leave leave you to lie still while you're eating this rubbish breakfast that I've made you. Yeah, so yeah.
Got to ask a group favourite question. Have you ever acted out a scene to help with the writing process? Jesus, I hope not.
Not in the actual machinations, but I talk to myself all the time like a crazy person. So I quite often, and I had to do the voices as well because I had to do the audiobook myself. So there was quite a lot of kind of reading it out and thinking about how it was read out. It was only when I started doing the audiobook that I was like, why did I give everybody all these accents? It's like there's loads of accents to learn. So yeah, and it's quite hard jumping between accents when you're like when you're acting normally. So I also do some I'm like a lapsed actor. So you know, I've been in tiny parts on the telly, but you can sort of get your head in it, and you sort of change the way you move and stuff so that you can do the accent. Whereas when you're just reading it out, you have to like jump, you know, like really jump around. So I was in the booth like doing all these kind of acting it out faces to try and work out how to do it.
I think the good thing with that though is because the way your characters are written, they're all distinctive, which must have made it so much easier when you're reading them out. Because
yeah,
it's quite complicated. You've put a lot of thought into it. There is a lot going on.
Yeah,
but it's really easy to follow. I didn't not know who was talking.
Good, because I do worry about that, and also some of the clues are quite delicate. So sometimes, like, and also because it's quite a fast read, it's quite like, oh, what's the next bit? I've deliberately tried to make it that there aren't that many stopping points.
Yeah.
It's more
yeah,
like,
you are literally, now you mention it, yeah, you do pound your way through it.
Yeah, you're like, come on, come on. That's the aim. That's what I was aiming for. And so sometimes it can be hard when you're reading like that to kind of go, oh, wait a minute, that was a clue to what's about to happen now. So, you know, yeah, it is. But that's very nice of you to say. Thank you that I'd managed to make them distinctive. I was really trying.
Well, the thing is, like I was saying, there's so much going on. You would expect it to be hard to keep up with who everybody was, but actually it wasn't.
Okay,
and
good.
My mind's not quite been as sharp as usual, as you know, last few weeks.
I know.
So this has been kind of. It was nice to be able to keep up with everything. I didn't have to go back and check who anybody was.
Good, yeah, that's what I hate. I hate doing that in a book. I hate it when you have to go, wait a minute, who was that one? You go, oh, when did I first meet them? So you want to try and make them as distinctive as possible. Yeah.
But that must have helped you with reading them out. You must have known what was coming. Because how long ago did you write it? How long has it been between it going off and then you're now in the middle of something else and having to remember things whilst reading?
It's nearly 3 years, I think. So it was in lockdown that I wrote it and then sent it out. But got an 8. I did it all in the like real traditional way that everybody, you know, it says on the internet to do it. I just sort of Googled it and went, what do you do? And sort of sent it out to agents and then sent it out to a, you know, it all did its thing, you know. But yeah, it sold quite quickly, but then they just wanted to wait a year so that it would hit the Mother's Day publication date. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, see what you mean. But I didn't know if they were even going to keep that title. Like, I didn't know if I had another title, a secret title that makes it sound a bit more fancy. But I was going to call it. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? So my alternative title was I Defy the Magpie.
I can see where you've gone with that.
Yeah. So that was part of it. But then I was like, oh no, it should really be something about mothers because it is all about.
I see where you're going with that, but I think you're aiming for a different market with that.
Yeah, slightly different markets.
I don't think people would understand what they were getting.
It sounds a bit too literary and yeah,
maybe
like a bit more.
You said before that was it Alice Lowe? You said had just put out a show, and so you had to you felt like you had to shelve this for a while. I think it's really interesting. I don't think I've ever read a book that's set out in pregnancy trimesters with kind of pregnancy advice at the beginning of each chapter. Yeah. Where did that idea come from? It's genius. It's absolute genius.
Thanks. That was such a help to me, to be honest. because it's just a way of really anchoring you in what the stakes are. Because of course I think it was Lee Childs who said that every thriller asks a question at the beginning of the book and then waits till the end of it to answer it. Right. And so in My Mother's Day, is the baby safe? So you see the baby, you meet the baby in the prologue, and then
you can't take the prologue, don't read the book.
Yeah, you can't take the prologue, but the prologue's quite fun.
I do genuinely think everyone should have a go at this. It's so different. I've not read anything like it.
Yeah, I think
that's what everyone's looking for. And I know my friend Leslie really loves books that are just barreling through at a big pace. She loves things like that. So
I mean, that sort of came
to see.
That it was. I'm really glad you felt like that. I sort of said it, and then I was like, oh, maybe it doesn't go pace along. But then
no, it does.
I feel like it does. But it's yeah. I did a training on EastEnders, and I think that really changed the way I write. And that I was like, because in EastEnders you don't just like have a hook at the end of a scene, like doof 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 at the end of the. I can't do the EastEnders
bit.
Yeah, but you have one at the end of every mini scene, so there's always a hook. There's always a question which drives you on. So I deliberately tried to design it so that it's got those. You're always going, ooh, what's in the box? Oh, who's the father? Oh, what's that? So there's always like a dramatic question at the end of everything. That was the aim anyway.
Well, it works.
She doesn't know who she's pregnant by. That's another fun.
Which we do find out quite early on that she's not quite sure.
Yeah, you find out quite early. Yeah, so I don't think that's a spoiler.
I don't think that's a spoiler.
Okay, good.
It's quite early on. So can we discuss that scene a little bit? That kind of the reason behind it, or do you think that's too far?
Which bit? Which bit?
Why she doesn't know who it is.
Yeah.
Because I thought this was hilarious.
Yeah. But I was just like, I think some people just don't know, do they? Like some people, I've talked to people who are like, I don't know.
No. It's not the fact that she's not sure who it is. It's why she's not sure who it is. Can I say it? Can I not say it?
I don't know. I don't know which bit. Well, let's just do a spoiler.
It is right near the beginning, so I don't think it's.
Yeah.
But she was that gished on her birthday. She
exactly.
She did it.
She was that pissed.
Yeah.
She's got no idea.
You can say that. I'm not going to.
Yes. So she was like super pissed, and then she's like, I don't know what
happened. Did I? Didn't I?
Did I? Didn't I? Who knows what happened? And she knows something happened with this guy. And she knows that something happened with her boyfriend. Yeah. Someone just said, attempted to get the audiobooks so I can freak my mum out.
Laura, that's mean. Tempted to get audiobooks so I can freak my mum out with the concept wandering around her house with my tablet like I did with one of Tina Baker's.
Okay. I haven't read Tina Baker. Should I read that? That sounds... I'm going to write it down.
Oh. Yeah, if you can take your book, you can take Tina's book.
Yeah, so I suppose like other people have said it's a bit like, Gillian Flynn, her first book was Sharp Objects. Sharp Objects. It was Gone Girl was the second one. Sharp Objects I really enjoyed. I was like, oh my god! But that's got a sort of serial killer element, but it is pretty horrible. But also,
haven't read that one.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's quite like. Quite full on as well, but yeah.
I might need a break from full on.
Yeah.
Somebody said, do you speak your dialogue as you write it for authenticity? I ask because I do.
Oh, really? I think that's a really good idea to do that.
I can't see who asked that question. Apologies, I've no idea.
I do speak my dialogue quite often, and I read.
Are you any good
out.
at it? Yeah. Well, you must be if you read it for your audiobook. You must be.
You'll have to decide for yourself whether or not I'm any good. But yeah, I do think it's important to like get the rhythms and stuff. And also sometimes you read it out and you go like, that doesn't quite communicate, or that's not what I was.
Somebody was saying to me that they read before the book gets sent off, and I can't think. I talk obviously to a lot of authors. I can't think exactly. It'll come back to me. They read out the whole book because then they find the things that they'd missed or the things that they thought worked that didn't.
It's such a good way to see mistakes. Such a good way to see mistakes. And I'm used to doing that from doing screenwriting. So when you do screenwriting, it's really important, especially when you're writing comedy, kind of stage directions, action. You want the action to be funny. So you want it, when you read it out in a room, you want everyone to laugh.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of write jokes in the action and the rhythm of the action. So so I suppose I did sort of probably applied some of that, because there's a lot of dialogue and there's a lot of action and there's not an awful lot of description in the book. So it's not,
but that doesn't stop you being able to see everything.
Good.
You've not described it. Now I think of it, there's not lots of description.
It's not long descriptions.
You can see everything.
Good.
That's only just
that thing of like going, I'm just going in a bit and then out a bit and in a bit and out a bit. So it's written in the close third person. So it's like a lot of books are now, but sometimes it's from the point of view of three women mainly. Although at one point it sort of goes off and follows some other characters. But did that. I was like, can I get away with this? I was like, it'll be fine.
Somebody, I think this is Guy as well. Give your kids a copy of your book or read it as a bedtime story. My guess is they'll behave. Bet it wouldn't have worked on Guy, to be fair.
Really? Does he not behave?
No.
Okay.
Alex Hawley says, hi, Alex. So one of the things we were going to talk about is which books you've been reading. Have you been having a think while we've been chatting?
I have been reading quite a lot of screenwriting books because I'm looking at that again, doing that again. Am I allowed to say those? Because they're like how-to books. So I've got.
So have you got Blake Snyder on there?
I've got all my. I do sometimes do Blake Snyder, but my favourite is, which I haven't got here, but I'll have to just say it, is John Yorke's book, Into the Woods.
I had a feeling it'd be on your list.
It's really good. It's a really good book. And I suppose my other big.
Is that the one, Into the Woods? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Into the Woods. Yeah. So that's like about how to structure a serial or a series, and then also obviously Susie's books would be my big recommendation for this week, which they're very well put together and also really, really clever and funny, and they've all got a meaning. They've all got like they're not just there, I'm doing a crime book. They're there to say something. They've got a strong message.
Yeah. I am wondering if I've got any behind me on this shelf, but I generally knock things over.
I'm trying to think. I wish
I can't get to it.
I'm such an idiot. I've got myself all ready, and I didn't bring any crime books to show you. I'm a massive fan of Stephen King. But again, that's like just slightly tipping over into sci-fi, isn't it? It's
kind of. Yeah.
What have you got?
The Shining. He's there.
Oh, have you? Right there. There you go.
Right there. I'm getting good at pointing again. I kind of lost my thinking about what's the now I can't think of the word. Coordination, mobility, coordination. Couldn't point to things. But today I'm like,
I'm pointing. It's there. You'll be like all of those videos where they're like, just look here. Made you look. All the Instagram videos. Yeah, I'm a big Stephen King fan. So, and then you'll see there are some similarities to Misery. Just a little bit.
What have you done to celebrate the launch of Mother's Day? What have you done so far?
I had a big do in Hatchards, and my a jumpsuit fell off, so that was fun.
I did wonder if you were going to say I wasn't going to ask on camera.
It's fine.
But
it's fine.
Tell everybody what happened at your launch
I
just before the
decided to
doors
wear a
opened.
nice red jumpsuit so that I would go with the book, and like red lipstick. I was like, I'm gonna look cool. I'm gonna and then my zip broke and the whole of all my clothes fell off, like while there were people there, and I had to go into a cupboard, got bundled into a cupboard, and then there's like all of my childhood heroes were outside while my sister came in. Bless her. You see, that's what you need a sister for. She came in and then she said, right, we're swapping clothes. I'm going to give you all my clothes. And I was like, you can't just walk around naked. It's not. Anyway, and then she tied me up with a safety pin. So that was my launch. It was like a stress stream. It's like a horrific stress stream. So I did that. And I've gone on lots of podcasts and things like that. And then I had a local party for like my mum friends last night, which was really nice. So I'm a little bit hungover because it was mum mates always drink the most wine, don't they? That's the rule.
No, so, you're a proper grown up. I can't drink wine.
Oh really?
Oh no, can't.
I'm like, here I'm sipping.
I am sipping lager, as you all know. It's generally lager in the mug. Sometimes it's tea in the mug, and then I forget halfway through, pick it up, drink it, and it's cold tea.
And you're like, oh dear.
So not good.
At least it's better than hot lager.
Guy wants to know if that was part of the promo.
What, the falling off clothes? No.
But nobody actually saw you, did
appealing for anyone, I can tell you.
But nobody actually saw you. It was kind of. It was just before the event started.
It was like literally 2 minutes before, and then yeah, it was fine though. It all turned out to be fine. And then we got my husband to do a reading, which was nice. And then everyone was like, oh yeah. But then everyone was like, oh, that's not very feminist of you. Why didn't you read your own book?
Having your husband read it for you?
Like, I'm exhausted. I want somebody. I wanted to take the responsibility off me, so that was nice. So, yeah.
I think that's really nice.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice of him to do that. I appreciate it.
And you've shown a nice, healthy, happy relationship there.
Exactly. I'm like, do you mind reading my book out? Yeah, but he did a funny bit, so it was good because he's a comedian or comic actor, and so he did a funny bit. So I was like, okay, that's it. That's good. That's going to work out. Yeah, so from the beginning, but again, you can't really do it from later on because you just need so much. Yeah, kind of info and yeah. Oh, did your mother sabotage your outfit? Wouldn't put it past her.
Absolutely ridiculous, guy. Made me forget my next question now. Oh my word. I want to go back into the book because we've got about 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's gone really quickly already. Why did you decide to make her a charity worker? So she's not volunteering for a charity. You explain what.
So she works charting torture and organised violence for a human rights organisation. So I was like, A, because I've done that job, so I knew about how to do it, and B, because I felt like it had thematic resonance, particularly with the search for an identity and with, and of how trauma can kind of warp you and make you have some quite magical thinking. So Anna's she's quite kind of fatey. She kind of looks for signs and portents in the world around her and tries to see what she ought to do from, do you know what I mean? From like, she's looking for signs basically. And then I felt like that was something that I had noticed a lot in survivors of torture and organised violence, that they tend to be very, very, not to be too serious for a moment, but they tend to be very, it tends to make your thinking quite magical because it's just so extreme, the trauma. Oh, I'm so sorry. I've got to turn that off with my mother. It's my mother. Sorry.
I have no idea what just happened.
Oh, sorry. There was a ringing on the phone, and I was like, no.
There's a ringing.
I'm so sorry. So I should just get her on. Be like, hello. Yeah, so I just
That's
thought
one we've not had before, actually. We've not had anybody else's mum on. I sometimes say hello to my mum, but we've not had anybody's mum on.
okay, well, there you go. She would love it. My mum loves a bit of an audience. She loves a chat.
Do you want to send her the link and get her on camera?
She won't work out how to do it. It'll take me 15 minutes of IT support just to get her on. But no, that's what. But yeah, I think I sort of felt like A, there's a really strong search for identity thing, and B, there's a strong kind of magical thinking thing.
Yeah.
And I think that I just heard these incredible stories when I was working there. And in fact, one of the things that happens in the book, where I don't want to give too much away,
a spoiler, don't do it.
Yeah, one of the things that happens came from inspired by a real case.
Right, okay.
And it was a beautiful thing that happened. And I just thought, that it's just got so much, people who've experienced such extreme difficulties have so much potential for kind of beauty and restitution, and these amazing human stories where people find each other again, they find their families and stuff. So it's all about finding family. So I thought that it made sense.
It really does. You're going to make me cry again. There are things in the book that, and they are the beautiful moments, and I won't say what any of them are, but there are things that made me cry. I laughed a lot. I laughed out loud and cackled at some things like, oh my word, did I just read that?
Good.
But there are really beautiful, powerful moments.
Yeah.
And I can't say anything.
I can't say. Yeah. So I mean, it's just exciting when people find people they love, isn't it? So, and that's kind of what the theme of the book is. It's about like question it's asking is what is a real family? Is it people we're related to, or is it who you'll fight for? And so that's sort of the theme.
I'm just thinking that your mum's read some of the things you've written here. You must have a really interesting relationship. Do you kind of talk about all of these things?
Oh yeah, of course. Like my mum's amazing. So I think I did give the mum in the book does have some of my mum's characteristics.
Okay.
In that I gave her my mum's fabulousness. Like my mum's very kind of fun and charming and charismatic. And I really wanted the mum to be that, because I thought it was really important that you could see why you would be drawn to her. And so it's not just like, oh, you're just randomly, chasing this woman. Yeah. So I just wanted you to know why Anna goes to such lengths to get her mum to acknowledge her. And
she does have a very magnetic personality.
Yeah,
you can see why. She's warm, she's fun, she's vivacious.
She's so generous.
She
just like gives these amazing gifts. She's just like, here, and all that.
But she also knows how to use them, to use these gifts to get what she wants.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks she's just being generous and warm and lovely. And she is. But at the same time, there is a basis behind, she knows exactly why she's giving each gift. She knows what she's doing with it.
It's complicated, isn't it? Like, So I actually started out trying to write her really cold and sort of English and like uptight. And then I was like, this is never going to work. And I changed it so she was more like my mum, who's like a northerner and who's very charming. So I was like, I need to make her more charming. So I gave her my mum's charm, but my mum's not all of the other things.
No. No, if she was, I wouldn't have invited her on.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be sitting here now.
No, that is very true. You would not, no.
So yeah. But
what are you working on at the moment? I'm very aware that we are running out of time, so I want to get the next thing in.
Witter.
Who is frozen on your screen? Somebody said one of us is frozen.
Oh no.
So I'm going to see if I've got a message saying it's me or you. Keep talking, it might be me.
Yes, I'm working on doing the second book. So I got a 2-book deal, and so I'm
Fantastic.
writing a book
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's about a stand-up comedian called Mal Price, who's like a legendary drunk, and he gets court ordered to get sober, and he does a 12-step program. And step 8 is you have to make a list of those you've wronged to make amends to them, but he can't remember anything because he hires a detective to find out what he's done for the last 15 years. So it's like a detective story, but he's investigating himself.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I've never seen that before.
So
I'm just going to press play on my phone just to see. Well, no, we both look fine on mine, so maybe it's your internet, whoever Facebook user is.
Sorry.
No, we can't help other people's internet issues, but it does look fine on mine, so we'll keep talking and hope that we come back onto your screen.
And I've also been doing so I also write telly. So I carried on trying to write some telly. But yeah, so it's a bit of juggling, going like, I'll just finish the book and then I'll go back and write the TV show and all that. So yeah, I'm doing a bit of that.
How are you managing the two? Are you working on one and then having a break from that and going to the other, or do you?
At the moment, I'm just like throwing stone, and I'm like, here's a treatment, here's a thing. So it's just been a bit, it's just been kind of juggling. But I'm going to try and separate them out, and because I've got to write draft 2 of book 2, and then I've got to. Is this what you wanted to know? Am I being really boring? And then I've got to write
don't think you're capable of it.
I'm writing a comedy show, so that's quite fun at the moment. And I haven't done that in a while, so it's because I ended up writing the book because I sort of ran out of work during the pandemic. I'd done all sorts. I'd done like animation. I did Paddington, the Nickelodeon show, kids one, and then I'd done a Doctor Who. That on the radio, so I was just like, I'll do whatever. But those jobs were happening because they were things that could keep going without live actors. So you could have radio things and you could have animation could just keep going. So it was only in the second lockdown that I kind of ran out of work, and I was like, okay, I'm going to write this story.
Are you finding that now the world's kind of opened mainly back up? I know it's not everywhere.
Yeah.
Are you finding that working practices have changed? Do you have to be in the office as much? That kind of, can you do a lot more from home now, or do you want to do more from home now?
I mean, I've always been done quite a lot of working from home. Acting's changed.
Okay.
Because in acting, it used to be that you went in for a casting, so they'd see 12 people go in for casting, and then there was a few self-tapes, like which are where you have to film yourself. So you put your phone on and your ring light and you learn the words and you film yourself and you do whatever, and then you send it in when you're happy with it. And then so there were a few of those, but then during the pandemic there were just all those. It was just all self-tapes. And so self-taping became the default way of doing it. And now it's the default way of doing it. And it sounds like it might be fun, but it actually takes so much more time than just going in and reading it with some, because also there's no end to the job. It's just like, when are you happy?
Yeah.
Because you're filming yourself. So, and sometimes they'll like adverts, especially, they'll send you a thing and they'll go like, can you film 5 different setups? You basically have to like make the advert by yourself on your phone. You're like, this seems a bit crazy. Yeah, so
it's much harder work in that respect.
Yeah, it has changed. It's changed, and so I'm
kind of feels like you're doing part of somebody else's job for them if you're writing 5 adverts.
It is almost like that, isn't it? It is.
Are you getting paid for these?
No. So you just got weeks and weeks of doing self-tapes that you don't get any money for. So it's slightly changed the game. It's just slightly more, it's a bit more like Tinder, so they're just like looking at these self-tapes going through going, no, don't like her, no. So it's just, so it's a bit weird. But
how are you about watching yourself back? Some people don't like to watch themselves back. I never watch or listen to myself.
I don't
if I have to edit something, I don't like it. My voice is weird.
Oh, your voice is so weird.
It's
Because you see, but
distinctive.
obviously in my head, I'm obviously, it's actually just arrogance, because I look a lot better in my head than I do in real life. So then when I see myself, I'm like, that's not me.
Do you know what I've got to say? On camera, I kind of think the ring light helps, and then if I see myself in an actual mirror, I'm like, not just follow it like Oprah, followed around with somebody waving a ring light at you.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? With just a little bounce board. Hi. Yes.
Wouldn't look weird at all. Wouldn't get in anyone's way. It'd be fine.
I remember I was doing one with a mate of mine who's a comedian, and he came around. So he came around to look at me on the thing, and he was like, no, you get a much better view from if you turn around your phone, so that you're using the camera on the front of your phone is much better than the camera on the back of your phone. And I was like, I don't want the camera to be better. I want it to be worse. I want it to be fuzzy.
I bought a new phone for an event last year so that I could take photos of because my camera, my daughter said, it looks like you're taking a picture through a potato. Right. So I got a new phone, and the camera was so good that I hated every picture.
Exactly. I think I like to think that's why Anna, my character, has got her oldest phone in the universe, isn't it? It's almost like a character in the book, like how crap her phone is.
Me and Krista stood in front of, I found this really big light at the event we're at, and stood under that, and all of the pictures of me I really like, because we stood under this huge light beaming at us. It was brilliant. I'll send you some pictures. I
was shown how to do that by someone who does selfies. So his whole thing is he has selfies taken with celebrities. He's called Samuel Chernick. He's a comic. And so he's like, no, you do it like this. And he does this thing where he puts two phones together, and you put the light on one side and then your phone on the other. And you get the best selfies. And I was like, tricks of the trade. There you go.
You better give us a quick recap, because we're almost out of time.
Sorry for whispering on about
Mother's Day.
Whispering on about TV.
Still got coordination.
Yes, it's Mother's Day. So Mother's Day is it's a dark, twisty thriller. Don't buy it for your mum unless your mum really likes crazy, crazy books. You buy it for your partner or for yourself for Mother's Day. Is that a sum up? Anything else?
Do you want to say anything else about the book?
I've sold it I've got it optioned for the telly. I'm allowed to say that. So that's fun.
I didn't ask because I didn't know how much you were allowed to say.
I'm allowed to say that it might be a telly show. It might be. But of course, there are lots of books that get optioned.
It will be after The Watershed.
Okay. Oh, Susie's books are falling in my basket. Oh, that's so nice. Anyway, so great. I'm really, really glad. I'm still really good mates with a widower who lives around the corner. Lovely chap, good guy. Yeah. So it's a. What else should I say? Buy it.
And on that note, thank you to all of the members for joining us and for asking questions and keeping us busy all night. Thank you, Abigail. I've absolutely loved this. I've been looking forward to this all week.
I know.
And now I'm going to go and traumatise myself with the end of the book.
Okay, let me know how you feel at the end. Send me an
email.
Thank
you so much.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, thank you all. Bye.